Hello, everyone. Welcome to another soulful sip contemplation. As usual, before we start, I would like to invite you to grab one of your favorite drinks, tea or coffee, or, like in my case, a cup of water, and join me for this second contemplation about one of my favorite books that has changed my life. This will be an interesting, deep, and complex conversation because we will talk about a different game, a game of life. What if there's a game that combines every art, every science, every philosophy created in history till today together and synthesize them? What if this is a game so profound that it can hold the secrets of creation, of life? Well, this is what we will discuss today. The Glass Bead Game. In a different way, game of life, if we have the eyes to see it. This is written by one of my favorite authors, Hermann Hesse. It is a long process. It has been the result of a decade of work. Apparently, Hermann Hesse started working on this in around 1930s and the book was published around 1943. So this is his masterpiece. This is one of the most complicated works of Hesse, bringing all of his own life wisdom, all of his scientific understanding and spiritual understanding together. And another fun fact, he is a German writer. And because the book had quite a lot of anti fascist point of views, at the time of its publishing, it was not allowed to be published in his native Germany. It was first published in Switzerland. And this book won Nobel Prize in 1946. So for a book that is so beautiful that won the Nobel Prize, it faced quite a lot of challenges of publication, and we were not even able to read it if Switzerland was not able to publish it today. Beautiful beginning story. I don't even know where to start. Let's talk a little bit about the story. Then I can do a deep dive into some of the interpretations without spoiling the book too much. And as usual, I will reveal a little bit more about what it represents to me. And I hope this inspires you to give it a chance. Well, the main character's name is Joseph Knecht. The storyline is happening in a future civilization in a school named Castelia. And the school's whole purpose is to educate future the glass bead game players. And the glass bead game is a mysterious game, like the game of life. We can approach it from different angles. To be able to master glass bead game, you need to study different disciplines. And it requires a very rigorous process of study of art, philosophy, science, mathematics, history, everything coming together. And you try to see different intersection points between different disciplines. And in a way, by using these different disciplines that we see in the world, you try to see the golden thread behind it. And you try to get an understanding of the synthesis. So that is Castelia, Castelia's purpose. And Joseph is recruited to the school by one of the well-known masters of the school, music master, when he was a very young student. And he becomes a very successful student progressing in the orders of the school. And along the journey, he encounters different characters, different personas that impact his own understanding of the world and his own worldview. So, Music Master is the one who recruited him to the school, and Music Master is his first instructor or teacher. Then we have Plinio de Signori, who is coming from a rich political family background as a guest student to the school. And when they come together with Joseph, they represent two different opposing point of view. Joseph represents the Castelia, what it stands for, intellectual ideals. And Plinio makes usually fun of Castelia and its system, thinking that it's ivory tower, it's only intellectual, it's only mind, world of ideas, and it is disconnected from the world, from the real problems of the culture, from the people. And we see two smart minds having two different point of views or worldviews literally influencing each other. And we see a beautiful friendship developing, similar to the case that we experienced in When Nietzsche Wept. Two different point of views through their friendships, synthesizing different things together and influencing each other. And when Joseph Knecht was selected as the master of the school as a part of his process, he also gets training outside of the school as a part of his training program. And there are two important names that really influences his worldview in this process as well. One of them is a mission that he was sent to bring peace between Castelia and a church. Father Jacobus, a Benedictine monk, is his second master or instructor that deeply influences his point of views about religion and its role within the context of society. And we also have elder brother, another master, another teacher that helps Joseph to learn Chinese. An elder brother is a former custodian who leaves the system and becomes more affiliated with Chinese philosophy and ideology and deeply influences Joseph through the Eastern culture, through his understanding of Eastern values. So, as you can see, although Joseph is trained in a very traditional westernized futuristic education system where he's supposed to be the master of this intellectual world of ideas, through his education process, when he is becoming the master of the school, he is also influenced by some Eastern minded leaders from different lineages of Eastern philosophy or from religion. And throughout this journey, this really deeply influences Joseph, and he starts contemplating what truth really is and what is the right way to approach it. Is it something that we can scientifically prove and research and ideologically understand? Or, like Plinio assumed it to be the case, is it something that has to be lived, that is more grounded in our earthly sensational experience? And as a part of this journey, Joseph takes different paths, and one quote that really signifies a turning point for him is actually, I think, telling very much some of the confusion and some of the changes that he has been going through, although he has been the leader of this institution, Castelia and the Glass Bead Game. I would like to share one quote from the Glass Bead Game. This is Joseph speaking with his music master. If only there were a dogma to believe in. Everything is contradictory. Everything is tangential. There are no certainties anywhere. Everything can be interpreted one way and then again interpreted in the opposite sense. The whole world of history can be explained as development and progress. but can also be seen as nothing and meaninglessness. Is there any truth? Is there no real and valid doctrine? Joseph said to his master. And this is Master's beautiful answer. There is truth, my boy, but the doctrine you desire, absolute perfect dogma that alone provides wisdom, does not exist. Nor should you long for a perfect doctrine. You should long for perfection in yourself. The deity is within you, not in ideas and books. Truth is lived, not taught. Wow. Isn't it beautiful? And it's so contradictory to see that we are reading this in a book that says that truth cannot be found in books. And very synchronistically, I am currently reading another book, The Master and His Emissary, The Divided Brain and the Making of the Western World. And there was actually a beautiful section about books, and it very much reinforces the message that I received from this quote from the Glass Bead Game. So I would like to link them together. In this book, it says that books can be a perfect analogy for the differences between left brain and the right brain. Left brain, our analytical side, our rational side, is like books. And it says that we write books by getting inspiration from life. But without life, without the right brain and the experiences, the sensual side of the real worldly experience, there is nothing that the books can contain. So, in the same sense, this book was also saying that life can have a meaning without books, but books cannot have a meaning without life. Interesting. We are talking about what truth means, but we are making this questioning through the books too. So that's the beautiful dance of our rational thinking, but the experiential life. And coming back to my first entry contemplation, highlights the importance of getting real life experiences and then combining that with the books. So we can live and inspire each other through books. We can create new stories through our imagination and then bring these stories back into life through travel, through our life experiences. Anyway, that was quite a distraction, but coming back to our conversation, through his integration of Eastern philosophies into his life, Joseph goes through a personal crisis in which he questions the truth, or the truth that Castelia stands for. And this leads him into some sort of spiritual awakening as well. And with impact of that, he resigns from his role as the master of the school and starts searching for ways of adding value and service in a more earthly manner as a part of the human experience, as a part of the culture. I think I revealed more than I intended to, so I'm not going to spoil the book too much with what's happening after he resigns, but the book ends in a very open-ended way that invites the reader for interpretation. And this was just also another reflection of how Hermann Hesse was also influenced by many of the Eastern cultures. In the Western cultures, we usually have a very heroic storyline where we have some certain achievements completed by the main character. And usually we have a very clear, happy ending. But in the Eastern cultures, in most of the Eastern stories, we have more mystery, we have more openness for interpretation. And that's a very different way of understanding life or honoring life or the mystery of life. And we see the same kind of that Eastern cultural ending or storyline progression towards the end of this book. So it's a beautiful fictional feature society. It's a beautiful story that once again brings scientific dimensions, artistic dimensions, philosophical dimensions, spiritual dimensions together in one person's story. And it's again helping us to question what reality is, what truth is, how we can find it, how we can see it in different disciplines. In that sense, if you are into consciousness, if you are into awakening, if you are into individuation, if you are into philosophy, psychology, human development, you can find beautiful, beautiful inspirations, and you can find quite a lot of deep conversations and questions that can help you to deepen your own interpretation of life and what it means to you. So, this book came into my life when I was going through a challenging time. During the pandemic, 2020, I was in New York, stuck in my little small place in Midtown Manhattan. This was one of the books that I started reading during that time where we had to stay indoors during the quarantine time. And it opened quite a lot of different windows for me. Of course, it was the timing of our engagement. During that time, I was also questioning quite a lot of things related to the importance of life and death. When you are facing death, that's a beautiful time to really question what the significance of life is. What is truth personally for me? Am I doing the best with the life that I am given? Do I have any regrets in life if I die tomorrow? At least these were the questions that were keeping me busy during that time. And I found so much meaning in this book. And I always loved Hermann Hesse. And my first book with him was Siddhartha. As you might know, this is one of his well known, maybe even most well known books. And after reading Siddhartha, which is talking about the awakening story of Buddha, I read all of his books. So I'm a big fan of his work because his work really beautifully combines the intellectual elements with the spiritual elements in fictional characters in beautiful fictional stories that nicely merges and synthesizes different truths together and help us to see how they can live together in integrity. But although I loved Starta and many of other books, this was literally his masterpiece for me. It's a big book. This is a Turkish version, but the English is pretty much the same. And because I was so influenced by this book, I purchased the Turkish version and I started reading this with my parents as well. And this was just another way for us to connect during the pandemic time, reading books together. And we continued that tradition once we reunited. And maybe I just would like to open in parentheses and use this as an opportunity to propose reading books with your loved ones as another beautiful opportunity to connect. Because once you read, that gives you one more connection point. First of all, you share something you love with your loved ones. That's benefit first. The second thing, it gives you to open yourself more through the help of the stories of the book. So it helps you to deepen your relationship with the content and the depth of the book. And definitely over the longer term, it just opens you another socialization opportunity, regardless of where you are. Like when we started reading books with my family, with my mother and father, I was in New York, they were in Turkey. And through today's technology, you can connect anywhere and use the beauty and the deep conversations in the book as an opportunity to deepen your human connections as well. So, coming back to books representing life and giving back to life, this is just another beautiful representation of how books can enhance our lives, especially if we read them with our loved ones, with our social networks. They could give us just another excuse, a beautiful excuse, to get to know each other's taste and have an opportunity to go deeper collectively. In terms of the impact of this book on my life, I deeply resonated with the story of Joseph here, coming from a fairly traditional Western education system, going through the traditional ladders of first education, then career, similar to the world of Castelia, always operating mostly in the world of logic, in the world of rational thinking, in the world of analysis, in the world of ideas. At times, I'm not so sure whether I was really grounded enough in the pain, in the cultural complexity of real life, in the pragmatic side of life, in the messiness of human relations, in the messiness of our cultural complexity, history, which is sometimes represented by some of the other modalities that we see, like in the world of politics that Plinio was coming from, or religion in different shape or form that was represented by Father Jacobus' point of views. So this book really helped me to question my own evolution, my own integration of different aspects of my psyche as a human being. Not only my intellect, but my emotional side together, my spiritual side together. And it really helped me to redefine what is of value, what it truly means to know life, and what is my particular way of knowing life as well. And that's the another hidden beautiful invitation in the Glass Bead Game. You can make an entry point through a specialization, but through that specialization, you can see the synergies in between different disciplines. Like you can have a scientific lens, but through that scientific training, you can see the same parallel underlying structure in the spiritual world too. It only depends on your intention. And once you have the lens to see different perspectives, different disciplines can give you different venues to see the truth, to understand the truth, which is a beautiful combination of different disciplines and different point of views together. So this book is one of the books that changed my life because it helped me to see how I have changed as a human being and how my interests and what makes my heart beat is different than it was almost like 10, 20 years ago. And this was one of the books that really opened me to reconsider my life in a big way and make a career change, make a change in terms of where I spend my life and what I would like to invite more into my life. The impact might be different for you. It might not have the same outcome, like in my case, but definitely I'm almost certain that anyone can find something in this book because it really talks about what it means to be a human, what it means to live life, what is truth, what is life, how do we find it, how do we live it, asking these questions, living these questions, or at least opening space for these questions to exist. That's all we need. That is what Glass Bead Game is. It is the beautiful synthesis of different disciplines coming together and dancing and harmonizing in this beautiful, complex dancing ecosystem of life. This is only brought together in a beautiful fictional context once again. So I hope this really inspires you to give the Glass Bead Game a chance and become more familiar with Hermann Hesse's work in general. He's a phenomenal writer, and if you are especially into intellectual side, but also the spiritual side, also the artistic side, you can definitely find quite a lot of wisdom in almost all of his books, which beautifully brings all of different dimensions of humanity together: our intellect, our emotions, our spirituality, our sensuality. And that's the beauty of the Glass Bead Game as well. With that, I would like to thank you for joining me in this contemplation. And I hope this really inspires you to see the beauty in our world, create more of it internally and externally, and share it with others. If you had the chance to read the book, if you have comments and contributions, please join me in the comments. And if you have any other book recommendations for the like minded, like hearted individuals, let's collectively share our wisdom and learn from each other. Thank you all. Till next time, stay beautiful. Bye.